Hey guys, welcome back to Indian Palmistry. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video we are talking about the energy around the world in the month of May. You see, this year so far has been a crazy one, especially over March and April. We made a prediction a while ago that we were in for 3 crazy months. So we got 2 of them done. May is going to be a difficult one. On the other side of this, the world and the energy around the world starts to settle down, get a whole lot easier. There should be a couple assassinations and maybe governments being toppled at that point. So there still is a little bit of craziness in the world, but by and large on an individual level, the world should start to correct itself. But first, we have to get to the other side of May before we start seeing that. So in this video, I think maybe the best thing to do is just to do a general stock take of the energy around the world. Now, one of the big things to talk about is the Trump tariffs. You see, over the last month or two, Donald Trump put out a lot of tariffs on pretty much everyone in the world. And since then, he's been forced to bring that back because of the bond market. You see, the bond market is also the debt market. And because America has so much debt and so much money tied up, or government money tied up in bonds and their repayments, he can't afford to let that market break. Now I'm going to pull up a video I made in early 2024 and have a look at this prediction. So I want you guys to benchmark, to make a note of that date, April of either 2024 or April of 2025. Ketu is going to cut out a lot of debt in the world. That's by bond market defaults, bank runs, crises, things like that ought to be going on. So it does look like Ketu is wreaking havoc on the US debt markets. And unfortunately, this process has only just started. Over the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to get a lot crazier and a lot more volatile. So keep your eye on that space. In addition to this, in one of my previous videos, I also raised the possibility of empty shelves coming back into the US and to other places around the world. I think I actually recommended people start to grow their own independent food source and also try and accumulate at least 20 ounces of silver per family member. Now, as a result of these tariffs, we're starting to see empty shelves once again, but this isn't the disaster I was predicting. That disaster isn't due for another 12 to 24 months from now. So if you haven't done so, start preparing for a bigger calamity down the track. So that's one potential crisis brewing in the background of the world. I do also want to talk about Elon Musk. To make sense out of what's going on with him, I'll pull up a video I made a couple years ago in early 2023. And all of this is good so far, but in April of 2025, his personal downfall will begin. And I want to end this video on that ominous prediction because he's got 1 or 2 really good years left to go in his life, and then he's got some really, really difficult years. You know, if you think he's erratic now, just wait until the end of this year. And this is perhaps one karmic lesson that we could all learn. Wealthy people are humans just like us. They're subject to the laws of karma. When they create wealth for other people, they're rewarded by great wealth for themselves. When they cause suffering to other people, then they go through suffering themselves. And it's going to hit Elon in about 2025, I believe. But we have a lot of years to go between now and then. So let's just wait and see what happens to his life. So a couple thoughts on that. Firstly, I really needed a haircut in that old video. But talking about Elon Musk's personal downfall in 2025, it has been absolute and complete. Since the start of this year, he's been outed as a fake gamer. I think there's been a major public opinion fall, potential Nazi salutes, all sorts of silliness was going on for him. In fact, even the board of Tesla was recently looking at replacing him as CEO. So he's gone from being right up here on top of the world in 2023 to far lower here. What I think is going to happen is potentially that downfall is going to continue for at least the next 2 to 3 years. But that's Elon on an individual level. Let's talk about his stocks as well. And I'll pull up a screenshot from that video that I made about Elon Musk on my predictions on what was going to happen with Tesla stock. One exercise I like to do is just to grade these predictions The price fall in July to September did end up happening. There's a price rise in October. Major volatility for Tesla stock in the US elections. I think the Tesla stock actually shot up to $488 at one point. But then my fourth prediction that in March there would be a price rise for Tesla did not end up happening. And here's where I've made my mistake in that particular prediction. You see, I looked at Elon's hands and I thought that one of his companies would be doing really well. My mistake was assuming that company was going to be Tesla. See, what ended up happening was Elon was able to revalue X, or formerly Twitter, from I think it was 10 billion initially, all the way up to 44 billion. So one of his companies did exceptionally well at that time, but Tesla, the one that I thought was going to do well, didn't end up happening. So I'm putting a cross next to that prediction. I'll also note that I'm predicting that May, Tesla is going to start to go up. I'm going to stick by that prediction. Even though Elon has so many other companies, I still do think there's a little bit of ray of hope for Tesla. I should probably also do a complete update video on Elon Musk as well, just seeing as how scattered his energy is right now. But that's one thing. The other thing I want to point out is one of you guys sent me this graphic. And what it shows is that Elon Musk's personal favorability rating seems to move the Tesla stock price. Now, I'm really interested in this because for those of you who are following our RoadVi tool, you know we've got a very similar measurement over here. Although we don't look at price movement relative to personal opinion polls, we look at his personal energy. And I want to show you guys the map that we produced for Tesla a little while ago. So in this case over here, you can see over this period of time, we were predicting the energy to move down. And that should have correlated in some sense with the stock price moving down. So if you look at this dark green line, which is the actual stock price of Tesla, it started close to this period, actually just a few days before then, at $261, and at the bottom in this period went to $144. So this whole price movement was predicted by the energy movement over here. So that's one thing. Whenever the energy goes down, that's a suggestion that the energy is pushing the price down. On the other hand, where you see this energy meter going sideways, that's a sign that generally the price should be moving sideways, as you can see over here. However, where you see this energy meter moving up, that's a suggestion that the price will start to move up from this period. Now, the other thing you can do is go to this drop-down window over here that says Compare. And you'll notice there's an option here for Elon. Now, if I click on this, you'll notice a blue line comes up. And according to the key over here, the blue line is actually for Elon Musk's personal energy. Now, this is all looking very confusing at the moment. So let me take the price away, and maybe this will start to make more sense. What we're basically looking at in these two lines here is Elon Musk's personal energy based off his transits, alongside the energy of his company. And what you're going to notice is there are periods where his energy spikes, and about a week or two afterwards, the energy of his company spikes. And then as his personal energy goes down, the energy with his company goes down too, but there's still a lag by a few weeks or in some cases days. And then once again, you'll notice as his personal energy starts to move up, the energy of his company also starts to move up. So it seems to be that his own personal energy is some sort of leading indicator on the price. So it's very cool to see professional economists mirroring the same conclusions that we're drawing out of RoadVi. So that's Elon Musk. Next, we should also talk about India versus Pakistan and a potential war that could be going on over there. But let me throw up a little snippet of last month's video in which I said this. Now, I'm of the opinion that this is going to be part of a bigger world conflict or a new war that's going to start up over the July-August timeframe. I can't say specifically if it's going to be Israel-Palestine or Russia-Ukraine or somewhere else, just that there's going to be a bigger war. And that bigger war is going to be the first step towards a larger scale conflict that's going to affect the world in 2026, 27, 28. So we got to watch the headlines carefully over the next few months to see what's happening there. So this, I think, has a potential to snowball into a much bigger conflict. However, it's not going to be straight away. I'm looking at the period from June, July, August onwards where things really start to heat up. By the way, October, November is looking particularly ominous for a new world war. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say world war. A new war within the world. That's what I mean to say. Having said that, I'll throw up my 2020s decade cheat sheet. And what I want you guys to notice here is we're also predicting another big global conflict happening in 2027. So it could just be this India-Pakistan thing snowballs into a bigger world conflict. Could be that the US gets into a fight with Iran because recently Israel attacked a port in Iran as well. So there's that silliness going on in the background too. In either case, whilst these predictions about the economy and politics are coming out, you have to have a look at potential wars, and this is one trigger I think we should all be paying attention to. And whenever we talk about wars or potential conflicts, we should also have a look at the price of gold, because that always goes up whenever there is a conflict. And recently the price of gold has been shooting up like a rocket. One part of this is because of the India-Pakistan situation. The other part of this is because of a recent Donald Trump tweet, in which is basically hinting at revaluing the gold in the US. He's going to try and use that as leverage of some sort in his negotiations to get better trade deals for the US. And this may be why recently he and Elon have been talking about doing an audit on the gold at Fort Knox. By the way, in my opinion, and according to our RoadVi tool, gold should be spiking up a lot in the coming months ahead. So don't take this as financial advice, but I think Trump is actually onto something here. Another little tidbit that I want to add to that, for those of you who have been following my channel for a while, you know that I'm on the record as predicting a handful of countries as being particularly successful in the years to come. That would be India, the US, Australia, and Germany. I'm going to throw up a screenshot of which countries have the most gold. And you'll notice on this list, the US and Germany are number 1 and 2. So if there is a gold revaluation, every American and every German citizen is going to be doing very well. But in addition to that, Indian housewives actually own almost 30,000 tons of gold between themselves. So if gold is revalued, then every Indian family will do well. By the way, Chinese families are estimated to have about the same number of gold in their safe deposit boxes too. So China should be doing well out of this. Then lastly, Australia is basically one of the world's biggest exporters of gold. So it seems to be that my prediction on these 4 countries may actually end up happening if Trump revalues gold. So keep an eye on that space. I also want to talk about cryptocurrencies, and I'll throw up a screenshot of my recent video on what I was predicting to happen here. And I think we're up to prediction number 6 here, which was from late April to the first week of May, the price would start to rise. I'm pretty confident we can put a tick next to that one. I think the price of Bitcoin and other cryptos should keep going up at least until the middle of May. Then there could be a slight price fall. Then I'm also getting a lot of questions from you guys about altcoins and altcoin season, wondering why isn't this taking off? And all I can really say to that is it depends which altcoins you're looking at. You see, if you're invested in some tokens that aren't at all-time highs or very close to all-time highs, then those tokens probably aren't going to be the most successful ones in the rest of this bull cycle. You see, the bull's been going on for about almost 2 years now. If your token is still 70 or 80% down, then you've probably got to have a look at maybe cutting some of your losses or pivoting into a token that may do well. Again, this isn't financial advice. We don't do that on this channel. But I'm just speaking energetically. At a time of prosperity, if your token isn't doing well, you really have to question whether you want to be holding this in the years and decades to come. So that's cryptocurrency. Before I get into my predictions for the month of May, let's just do a review of what the predictions were like over the month of April. And this is a screenshot of my April predictions. I believed at the time that there was going to be a gold correction. That did not end up happening. I also predicted a good period for some altcoins, especially Adana and XRP. That kind of happened, kind of didn't. You see, the general market went down a fair bit, and ADA and XRP went sideways to a little bit of an increase. So I'm going to put a tick next to that one. The Bitcoin price did fall in the beginning of April, and I'm not sure why I didn't have my other prediction that I was expecting the bounce from middle to late April. In either case, we'll skip that one. We did predict a stock market price rise to take place. I was very happy to see that one come out. When I made that prediction, all the economists and mainstream media were saying that Trump's going to ruin the economy and the markets are going to keep going down. So I'm very happy to see that happen. That puts my track record at 6 correct predictions out of 7 so far this year. So that brings us to our predictions for the month of May. And there aren't going to be very many, but these are my predictions. First thing I'm going to say is there should be a Bitcoin price fall around the middle of May. I don't think this is going to be a big or serious one, but I am predicting a fall of some kind over this time frame. I'm also predicting the Tesla price rise from the middle of May onwards. And these are the only 2 predictions I'll make for this month. You'll notice I'm not making a prediction on gold because there's a couple planets that will be pushing this down. There are a few planets that are going to be pushing this up. So with a potential war, with potential governments being overthrown, with this Ketu transit into Leo, that should be pushing the price up. And then there's potential bond crisis, trade wars, all sorts of silliness. We just can't put our finger on the pulse of gold right now. That's pretty much where the energy of the world is. We know there's a lot going on, but we can't really understand it, and that understanding won't come around until the end of May. So for the next month, just hunker down, spend time with your family, get as much rest as you need, because after June onwards, that's when the really big opportunities come back for the world. I want to leave you guys on that note. Thanks a lot, guys.